Thanks for checking out the Chrissy Mayer podcast. We are on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification icon. And if you're on iTunes, please go subscribe and leave a sexy or creepy review on there. I will be reading the best or worst reviews every week, so long as they are 5 stars. And I have a review here from Rob Saul. I think I know this person. Great podcast. Podcasts are a dime a dozen, but Chrissy Mayer is hilarious and her podcast deserves a listen. Subscribe today. Wow. Thanks, Rob. I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast today. He is a friend. He is the host of That Jamieson Show every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern on Compound, and his new comedy album, Denim and Laughter, is available right now. Don Jamieson, welcome to the program. Wow, there it is. There's the denim.
Yes, and all this stuff is racist now, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, in the last week and a half, everything on here became racist. So,
oh no.
If you like racist humor, definitely pick it up. Because what is it now? But yeah, this is great. I'm glad to be on with you. You have like 57 different shows. You have more shows than Steve Harvey.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this podcast really picked up over the lockdown. I mean, I definitely spent the first 2 months depressed and kind of wallowing at the disappearance of my first real headlining tour. Like, I had all these cities lined up. Like, I did LA, that was the first one, and then all the rest, like, what were they, 10, 12 of them were just all canceled. So it was very sad. And then I was like, well, I can put out more content, and even though YouTube kind of scares me, I'm just gonna lean into it, because it's either this or TikTok, Don. You gotta, it's either this or learn choreography.
Yeah, I don't think if I even attempted to sign up for TikTok, they would come down and arrest me for being a pedophile.
Although, like,
not that hasn't happened before. But
you just be like, this is my relative. No, there's so many kooky, weird families on TikTok. It's like, better off without it. And then I started the other show, I guess, as kind of like a goof. I guess it's the Never Have I Ever show, which, have you done that one yet?
No.
Okay, you have to get on. You have to get on one. Maybe if you're not doing anything this Wednesday.
Let me check my schedule real quick. Yes.
All right, cool. Don's booked. And that's just a fun way to, there's like 9 of us on that one, and it's like comedians, porn stars, and we use Never Have I Ever as just a way to like launch into funny stories and things we've done and not done. And it's a way for people to drink. So, yeah. So that, I guess, I would you say that you're best known for that metal show, which was on VH1 Classic?
By the way, I'm drinking tea, as you can see here.
Wow.
I'm showing you the tea bag on the side so that you know that I'm drinking tea.
Or you could just be having a hot toddy.
Now, come on, Chrissy. All those celebrities that are drinking tea, they can't be drinking booze, could they?
I always thought that anytime I saw a celebrity, like, on a late night talk show, and they always had a mug in front of them, that it was always definitely alcohol. I was like, there's no way there's just water in that.
Oh, back in the old days when, you get a little buzz before you go out and talk to Johnny. Absolutely. Johnny had a buzz. Let's
really? He drank?
When you think he had a,
during shows
before he went out.
Yeah, you gotta stay funny. I'm at my sweet spot. Like, I'll try to have 1 drink before I go on stage just to calm my nerves. And then more than that, like, I don't want to get slurry. Like, if I have 2 drinks without a meal, like, I get a little funny, like, not in the fun way, in the out of control. Like, just I'm a little too loose. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. Same thing. Like, I like to have 1 just to, it's really just to, like, have something in your hand to almost just distract you a little bit. And it just takes the tiniest little bit of edge off. And then we could go do what we do when we're allowed to go do it. But I mean, I guess a lot of people know me from that metal show. I mean, it's the biggest thing I've done on TV.
And there were 14 seasons between 2008 and 2015 with yourself, Jim Florentine, and Eddie Trunk. When did did you guys all meet on the show together?
We met in a rub and tug, and we figured, all right, we're all degenerates, and we all like metal. So
did you really meet at a rub and tug?
No, we met. Jim and I were, friends from doing comedy. Jim's been my comedy partner for almost 30 years now, or 20, probably 25. And we both used to listen to Eddie's radio show. And, Jim and I are big rock fans. And, we listen to Eddie's show and be like, oh my God, this guy knows everything about rock. And then we met him at an Ozfest. We started becoming friends. We started going on his radio show. And then we just had the opportunity to go in and pitch VH1 Classic on this show idea. And, it was just one of those things where, like, Jim and I had probably both done like a dozen TV pilots prior to that.
Wow.
And none of them got picked up. So, it was like the industry is basically telling us to stay off TV,
It's a grueling process. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been on a couple little TV shows, but I know that the people who pitched that show had to pitch like 15 ideas before anything was picked.
Yeah. So when Jim and I went in, we like to the meeting, we were just like, yeah, all right, we'll let VH1 buy us lunch. Like, nothing's gonna come of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went in the meeting and we brought our ideas in, but basically the whole meeting, Jim and I just busted Eddie's balls the entire meeting, like hard. And,
Really?
Yeah, because it was like, who cares? No, this is not going anywhere. This is yet another meeting that nothing will happen with.
Okay.
And
there's
then
no pressure at all.
We felt zero pressure. We were wearing camo shorts and like Slayer shirts, with the TV executives. And like 2 weeks later, they called and said, hey, like, we don't really know hard rock and metal like you guys obviously do, but we love the chemistry between the three of you. So They actually, by doing the wrong thing, we actually did the right thing, and they commissioned the pilot, and then, like you said, 14 seasons after that.
That's interesting. So if you had come in there like, all right, we've got our cue cards or we've got our points and we're, maybe we're going to dress up a little bit nicer than we normally do, try to impress the suits, come in with a clean shirt, and you were just like, no, let's do none of that. Let's just be ourselves and kind of, rag on each other. That's awesome. Yeah.
And also, Eddie was doing some hosting over there. So they were familiar with Eddie, but they didn't really know Jim and I that well. So Eddie was like, hey, I want to give them a demo reel from you and Jim so they could see what you guys are all about. So we didn't really have anything. So we sent them, Jim and I do these hidden camera DVDs called Meet the Creeps. So it's all like, hidden camera, pulling pranks on people, but like there's at the end of every bit, it just fades to black. Like no happy ending. There's no we got
no resolution.
No, they all end in misery. So we said, here, give them our Meet the Creeps video. And the first thing that they watched was a bit that we called Upper Decker, where Jim and I are taking upper deckers in hotel rooms and like calling downstairs and telling them there's something wrong with the toilet and they got to come up. Like, do you know what an upper decker is?
Wait, no, I don't. Is it something with poop?
Yeah, like when you take the top off the tank, the toilet
where you
tank,
poop into the top of the right, because it's in the upper deck. Well, that makes sense.
So that was their introduction into meeting Jim and I.
So you would shit into the top part of like how many hotels?
Well, when you're on the road, there's all this extra time. So whenever we could get into another comic's room, we go, hey, can I use the bathroom? And then you take the top of the tank off and you go up in the top. And then what happens is when it flushes, it all goes into the bowl.
Oh.
And sometimes it takes a few days to finally flush out.
So like someone would keep flushing the toilet and they'd be like, because would the water always be brown? And like no matter how many times they flushed?
Yeah.
How do you fix an upper decker? You have to just fish it out?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So we recorded us doing that and put it on our DVD, with these hotel guys coming to see what, what was wrong with the toilet because we said it was stopped up. And that's what VH1 saw. So they already knew what they were getting into.
So you sent them, your demo were just you doing upper deckers, and they were like, we love it. Let's sold. So then the show, I guess in 2015 was discontinued because VH1 Classic transitioned to then MTV Classic. Were there any talks at that point of transitioning the show at all?
Well, everybody transitions now. It's the woke thing to do.
Oh, right.
You know what happened? Well, the problem was there was nowhere to put it. Like regular VH1, you think, oh, cool, put us on the real VH1. I mean, we were on VH1 Classic, so we were like, that would be great if we could go on to. But regular VH1 is just like, Basketball Wives, Celebrity Rehab. Like it was.
There's no music at all. Yeah.
Right. It fit. And then it aired on MTV Classic for a couple of months. And then we started getting like these huge residual checks. And then as soon as they realized that they were having to continue paying us, they stopped airing it.
Ugh. That's annoying. Could you remember after that, did you try anywhere else to try to reboot the show, like at any point since then?
I mean, the thing is, we don't own the show, so the producer bought the rights from VH1 and stuff to shop around. So, we've gotten offers over the years, but just nothing where we could really do it the right way. So, hopefully we'll find a place sometime. But until then, it's been great. I've just got a whole new league of fans and everything. And then obviously, we're together on Compound Media, and I'm doing my very, very, very loose version of that metal show and calling it that Jamieson show. And that's been great. And all the years of doing that metal show were phenomenal. I mean, I know every guy in rock music, became friends with lots of them. They're all so super cool. And I love bringing them on to what I'm doing now. But I will say this, as much fun as we had at VH1 Classic, you're still dealing with a network, right? Mm-hmm. So you're always butting heads about stuff. Because anytime there's business and creative, it never exactly fits. So that's Compound Media is so fucking great because there's zero pressure.
Nobody's combing through your stuff. I remember when I did Punchline, we had to pre-write our jokes. They look spur of the moment, but we get our topics at 3 or I don't know, maybe at 11, and then you write all day. It was kind of at midnight, but then you bring your jokes in, and it's Fox, right? So you have to go through each and every one of your jokes with a lawyer, and then the people go, and then things get cut, if you mention certain words. Or I remember I had a joke. I couldn't say the word Viagra. I don't know if I tried to. I think I also said oh, what about Blue Chew? And they were like, so, but that's what's really great about Compound Media. There's nobody filtering your jokes. There's nobody basically saying you can't say certain stuff. Did any other networks have any interest, or kind of once you realize, okay, this can't go on to regular VH1, that was kind of it?
No, like I said, there's been interest over the years, tons of interest, but nobody that really could step up to the plate and get it done the right way. And plus all three of us are in our 50s now, so we'll probably say Viagra a lot if we're on the air.
Have you ever considered doing it independently, and putting it on a YouTube?
I mean, it still costs money. You still got to rent a studio. You still got to have camera people. You still have to have a director, and you have to fly. There's, especially on the East Coast, there's only 3 musicians live on the East Coast. Everybody else lives in LA or Nashville. So you'd have to fly people in, put them in hotels. So it sounds like, why can't you just put it on YouTube? It seems easy, but if you want to do it the right way, that's why Compound's been great. Because it's I could, Skype people in, And then obviously when we're able to have people in the studio, I have them in. But you know, I don't have to worry about having an A-list name every week. If I don't have any guests, that's fine. Like I think tomorrow I might not on the show. I don't even know if I have a guest since we changed the time, but that's fine because I can do the show without a guest. But when you work for the network, it's like you got to book Slash and you got to book Ozzy and you got to book the guys from Kiss. So, you know, this is definitely a lot more mellow.
Out of all the shows and all the episodes, like who have you felt like you fanboyed out the most over, or like you and the guys freaked out over having?
I think you know, none of us are really kind of a starstruck person, but we all probably had our own individual, like, oh my God, like I can't believe, you know. But for me, it's Lemmy from Motorhead. Anytime he came on the show, all I wanted to do, because he did the show probably about five or six times. And the first couple times, it's just like, I just interviewed him and that was it. And I didn't try to talk to him afterwards or anything because he's my hero.
Wow.
Like I've lived my life by his lyrics, you know, like, you know, they have a song called Don't Let the Bastards Grind You Down. That's perfect, you know, because everybody's trying to fucking knock you down a few pegs, whether it's other comics, club owners, you know, so people on social media. So, you know, Lemmy's my hero. So all I cared about was that as long as he does, I don't care if he knows that I even exist, just as long as he doesn't dislike me for any reason.
Yeah, what is there to dislike about you? So you gave him no indication that you were a big fan?
I wouldn't say that, but I didn't try to like insert myself into his life like outside of what we were doing. And then because of that, he ended up liking me.
Aww.
And then we ended up becoming friends. So that was, you know, that was just a bonus. But yeah, I always said, look, if Lemmy just came on our show and just sat there and smoked and didn't even say a word, that would still be the coolest show to me.
You still just like be around his essence. I've become increasingly more grateful for Compound Media in recent months, because I remember when I joined the network about a year ago, like I was kind of moving this way anyway, but I was finding my sense of humor was moving away from like woke Brooklyn, Manhattan sort of group of people and like, I guess culture. I don't know. That's not even a right word. There really is no culture around it. It's just like comedy clicks to more like, I don't even call it lowbrow. I was doing more impressions on In Hot Water, and I just was like finding that my sense of humor was more in line with Compound Media than like trying to like kiss everybody's ass to get a late night spot. And you know, at first I definitely was getting some shit for people because people, I don't know, people who don't know the network think that it's right wing or that it's like super Republican, which it's not. Did you experience any of that at all? Like any kind of like, you know, people, you know, telling you, oh, this is the stereotype about the network, or did you experience that at all?
No, zero, because first of all, any other comics that are talking shit are nobodies anyway. So I wouldn't, you know, it would never get back to me. I don't do the alternative clubs in Brooklyn. So, you know, I'm never going to hear people whispering, oh, he's on Compound Media. So that doesn't even trickle back to me. But now I have a one sheet that I made for my show and I send it out and I put on proudly Anthony Cumia, you know, formerly of Opie Anthony, started this network, blah, blah, blah. I put the history of the network on there and everything. And I've been zero. No, I haven't got, plus all my social media, especially, I keep it all fucking positive. So, you know, I don't even, you know, people know like, okay, he's not going to engage into, you know, I'm 53. I'm not getting into Twitter wars with 21-year-old hipsters.
Do you get any like people giving you crap on Twitter? Like, do you get any people trolling you?
Rarely, you know, because like I said, people like anyone who's probably tried at this point is like, goes, yeah, he won't bite. So I'm not going to deal with it. You know, plus a lot of my fans, especially on Twitter, they're all fans of that metal show. You know, they bought my albums. They know what I'm about. So
they've known you for years. Yeah. And I've seen that happen with some people. Like they get a lot of fame over a podcast or a certain show, and maybe it doesn't align with who they're growing into, and then they have this period of like sloughing off these people that were fans of their first thing or the thing they were best known for. But now as they lean more into stand-up, or they just sort of grow and evolve, like you have these fans that are like, oh, this person's changing, or like we don't like them anymore. When have you started, like, because you've been performing comedy for a while and on the road, when have you started noticing more of the woke culture, I guess, coming to the forefront?
It's been definitely the last 10 years, it's started to get, and obviously now, and, I was half kidding at the beginning when we first came on that every joke on my album's racist. It probably is, and, within the last week and a half, because everything's just so, like, beyond insane now with all this stuff. But it didn't just pop up in the last couple months. I mean, this has been coming for years. And, honestly, that's why, I'm really, whether you think, this album is great or good, you could think it sucks or whatever. But what I'm most proud about it is that, I take apart PC culture through stories of my personal life, through my relationships, through music and the bands that I love. And I really hope I take people on a journey. And then when you get to the end of the album, it sets up like this really intense moment where the whole crowd is like really on their edge of the seat, because it really starts to go into a direction that makes people uncomfortable.
Wow.
And then I drop the gauntlet on the crowd, and they laugh and they get it. And then basically at the end of the theme is like, don't watch the fake news, don't believe everything you hear, we're not all at each other's throats, not everybody fucking hates each other, 99% of people just want to get along. So, I love that I did that. I think, the album, especially the ending, would definitely have even more impact today than it did even in February when it was released.
Wow.
And best of all, I went into the heart of PC land, Los Angeles, and recorded it in enemy territory.
Wow.
Album. So
where was it recorded?
It's funny. I recorded it in a speakeasy in Los Angeles, like a totally illegal club that nobody knew about.
Wow.
That a friend of a friend owned. And it had that vibe, the old school look, the bar, you had to know a certain code to get in and all that stuff. And that made it really cool. I wanted that vibe. Plus I thought it'd be cool, like, if we get raided during the show, like, that'll sound cool on the album if I get like pulled out of there in handcuffs.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like Prohibition all over again. And I wonder if that is how things are moving in comedy now. Like everything's been really shut down since mid-March. It's mid-July now, and these secret shows have been popping up. Like, friends of ours do these secret shows, in kind of like the Westchester area, and it's word of mouth. And I wonder if we'll be seeing more of those, in the coming months, as things seem kind of endlessly delayed in reopening, especially in New York City.
Yeah, last week I booked my first outdoor show, and so this is great because now I have two with you guys next week. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think people are, especially the local bookers and stuff are trying to figure out ways while the weather's warm to do shows. And as a comic, like, the outdoor shows, they're not ideal, but right now any booking is the greatest gig you can book, just so we can get up and work. I think that you're going to be able to come out still, hard with people, because people are just really anxious to get out and be entertained. But then I could see the pendulum swinging back, more towards the PC stuff again. I just look at it as like, here, I'm just going to, you tell me I can't say this, that, and the other thing. Well, I'm still going to say them, but I'll just say them in a different way. And it'll put another layer of comedy to what I'm doing. Cause I'm also going to take a jab at PC society underneath the content of the joke. So, you know, but I am really afraid, like, we're losing free speech in this country, and it's really fucking scary, especially for people like me and you who make a living with our mouth.
Hey. And we do comedy. Just kidding. We're not prostitutes.
That's for your other show.
Yeah. How have you felt that you've been censored personally?
Oh, I mean, again, you know, just really having to change my style of writing and stuff. And that's cool. I mean, I don't mind growing as a comic. That's, you know,
Right.
I've been doing this 22 years. There's a reason I've stayed around somehow, you know. I mean, you know, you definitely can adjust with the times, but I also don't want to be told you can't say this, you can't say that. So like I said, I find a different way to say it. Like, I tell more stories now in my act than I ever did. I mean, I used to always just boom, 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 boom. And I find if you put stuff into personal stories, you can get away with a lot more, because people, you know, it makes it more personal. Like, okay, that really happened. He's not just up there making jokes. Like, if they feel like you're just trying to be outrageous to be outrageous. But if it's part of a story, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, all right, you know, there's a little more leeway with that. But no, you see what's going on out there. You know, you can't say anything. I mean, a woman was shot in Indianapolis for saying all lives matter. She was murdered.
Wow.
So if you want to talk about the death of free speech, it's the literal death.
Yeah, and like, where's the uproar for that? Where's the hashtag for that? It's like, it's really shitty to see. It's really, and like, some people will say, well, you know, you can't just have hate speech and no accountability. And that's not what it is. Like, that's, you're taking away like art and culture. And it's like the canceling, right? It's like we're pushing all of our statues into the river. You know what I mean? Like, the textbooks have changed over the decades, you know. It's like slowly but surely, and now it's, and you don't see it happen as much with art, or maybe because it's like, well, we're not in like the art community, but like, you know, it's not like you'll be in a museum and somebody will come up to you and be like, you can't enjoy that painting, and like push you away, like, we should cancel it, and then they spray paint the painting. You know, it's like you get thrown out, and you probably have a really steep fine or something. The way that people feel free to do so with comedy, it's maybe because it's more accessible, it's in our pockets. The commenting system is so easy. It's so easy to leave a comment on like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, whereas like that's not really the case with like fine art or music as much.
Yeah, but Chrissy, like, if we don't like stand up for free speech, that stuff's coming next, man. So, you know, I have no idea. I just want to get out and start working again, and then I'll feel it out and see. I mean, I work all over the country, so I know that there's, you know, we see a lot of stuff about, you know, the coasts, but there's a whole middle of the country that still want to laugh their balls off at raunchy stuff, at outrageous stuff, at edgy.
That still finds stereotypes funny because they exist for a reason, because they're based in truth, as all comedy is. And that's what, like, I don't like that when comics who never get out of New York or LA shit on the whole rest of the country. And it's like, the odds are they haven't performed there, and they haven't like really done the road and like tried to make the average person laugh. And leading with politics and like, you know, going for clapter instead of laughter, it's like that works in very few places.
Yep. A lot of comics are gonna, well, the bottom line is that they can't work any of those rooms. So, you know, but those are the rooms that I've worked in for 20 plus years. So, you know, we'll see. You know, I'm sure you've noticed, and there's no specific exact language, but you've noticed where crowds are definitely, just in general, more uptight. You know, even the ones that'll, you know, go with what you're doing, you could still feel like, you know, man, you know, even a few years ago, that joke would have got a way better laugh and would have sort of been uneasy about it. So you just see it happening and you just wonder, where is this shit going to stop?
And I like what you said about taking the current climate and almost like a quilt, like weaving it into your material. You're just that's a really good attitude to have. Like you're just taking another layer of what you're observing and turning it into comedy. Like you just have to like say it in a way that's like sneaky, and before they know it, they're laughing at something that maybe they didn't plan on. And that's part of like the job of being a comic, is like you have to charm. It's not like your friends, and people always think, oh, I could be a comedian because I make my friends laugh. It's like, no, these are not people you've known for decades. You've known these people for 5 minutes, and you've got to charm them and make them laugh within minutes. And that's a real skill. But that's kind of the part of the challenge I like with getting a crowd that might seem a little uptight is like breaking them down. And it's like through this, like if I can get you to like me, I can get you to be on right, because you can't deny me my own life experience, like exactly what you do. You just tell stories. Nobody's gonna say you're wrong, you're racist, and you're like, no, this is my life. And I think that might be a good way to cope with the climate, not to stop what you're doing and not to change. And like, are you worried that comedy is dying?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because there's no freedom of speech anymore. So yeah, I'm definitely afraid. But like I said, I think right now it's like people want to be entertained. So I think we're going to be okay for the time being. But I don't know. I don't know in the future. I mean, I'm definitely scared, But yeah, the other, and the other trick to like sort of, kind of goofing on the PC culture and the people that have fallen under that spell is to not also be like, I don't want to be the guy up on stage lecturing like, oh, when I was young you could do this and you could say that,
right? Because that sounds very old. That does sound like an old person. Like,
if you voted for Trump, that means you're a loser. Like, I see all these comics, they're lecturing crowds. Like, I go, no. I want to be able to work in front of 25-year-olds and make them laugh at shit that they think they shouldn't be laughing at, even though they want to, but they hear buzzwords. And there's a joke on the new record which I love doing, like working in the city when it's like an NYU crowd, because it's about not that it's pro-Trump or anything, but I say, I basically say I want Trump to build the wall, because I think Chinese tourists should have a wall to visit when they come to our country. And even the most hipster millennial in the audience has to laugh at that. You know what I mean? Like they go, all right, you got me on that one. So because it's political in a way, but it's also not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's like you have to be you have to be, if you're just clever, it's like you should be able to just keep being yourself.
So I like stuff like that where like you even break down the people who are like, oh, this guy, unless this guy bashes Trump, I'm not laughing. It's like, but the 9 people before me just all bashed Trump. You want the same humor out of me?
Yeah. Like, is this a comedy show or is this a rally?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just get sick of it. Like, I mean, I don't think Trump is a perfect person or like a perfect president, but it's like you have to support who's in charge, and because if you don't, you kind of sound like a whining child, and it's I mean, it's just so icky to not like support who's in charge and to not support the success of the country that you live in. Like, people talk so much shit like, oh, they hate America. Well, it's like, well, then go. All these people that we're talking about, oh, we're going to move if Trump wins. And I don't know anybody who's moved since that happened. I mean, other than like the open micers who had to move back home.
Right.
Where have you noticed, like, have you noticed any kind of woke little pockets in the rest of the country, or is it mostly like New York, LA?
Yeah, I mean, those are the big two right there. Trying to think of where else. Nowhere else like this extreme, that I can think of really. But yeah, I mean, and all these celebrities that say I'm moving. Yeah, Barbara Streisand's been moving since the 70s. She's been moving to Canada since the 70s. I haven't seen the U-Haul out in front of her gated mansion once during this whole time. So all these people say they're moving, they're not moving, because when all this shit dies down, everybody knows that, you know, this country's still great, and we got to push back on all this, you know, oppression of speech. It's like anything. If I walk in, you want to, any kind of art, it doesn't have to be comedy. It could be, you know, paintings in a museum. I could walk through a museum. I go, I don't like that one. So what do? I walk to the next one. I go, okay, I like this one. That's all you got to do. You don't like something you hear on the radio, change the channel. You don't like something you see on TV, change the channel. But, you know, for comics, it's like, all right, if you're triggered in any way, don't come to comedy shows.
Did you hear that the Comedy Cellar, they put in something in place that if you were offended at any point during the show, you didn't have to pay any money. Like you could do it for free. Like
yeah, which is amazing, and you know, that is a legendary comedy club in this country. I mean, no two ways about it. But that is, to me, the saddest thing ever. Unless I was like a comedy junkie, then I would just be in there every night and get offended by the last joke of the night. So, so close.
I almost made it, but great steak. Yeah.
By the way, I had 57 drinks and I'm not paying for them. Bye. See you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like we all know, like, you know, when you're on stage and you have a crowd that they almost like and an energy of a crowd is so contagious. So if you have just a few people that are like, they don't even know it sometimes, like they're just there, arms folded. Like, it's amazing how many people come to comedy shows and are not ready to laugh. Like sometimes, and of course that's the job of the host to kind of like crack through that and, you know, get everybody warmed up. But there are some stubborn people that it's almost like they go purposely not to laugh, and they want everyone to see them not laughing, because then they feel, I don't know, more moral or better in some way. It's just, to me, such a sad use of time.
Chrissy, this has been going on since way before any of this PC stuff, that in almost every crowd, if you have enough people in a room, there's always somebody, always one person who's so miserable that they went out to a comedy show to prove to themselves that they're so miserable and so dark that not even professional comedians can make them laugh. And they sit there like this. And the minute I see that, I'm right on them instantly. And I break that ice right away, because I'm not going to go through the show, because then that person becomes the focus to the rest of the crowd. Mm-hmm. So I just attack that immediately and get it out of the way. And then 9.5 times out of 10, the person ends up cracking and having a good time. And, you know, and then nobody else is tense anymore, you know. But now, between people who think they're pissed off, who really aren't, or people who think they're offended, who really aren't, you know, and if they start, you know, or rolling their eyes, now they become the focus. And it's like, no, I'm on stage right now. Don't worry about this sophomore for NYU who put the hood sweatshirt because she's mad, you know, because I didn't say Donald Trump, you know, is an orange-haired colostomy bag. Sorry, I took another point of view.
That's at least a really unique version of it. An orange colostomy bag. So what do you usually do to diffuse tension? Do you just focus on, like, talk to them like a regular person, or it's like, do you have a certain go-to lines?
Like, I'll say, like, if I see that going on, I'll go, you know, I'll ignore it at first. I'll monitor it out of the corner of my eye, and then at some point when I'm really rolling, I'm getting a lot of laughs, I'll turn to the person and go, hey, just by the way, just so you know, you're totally allowed to have a good time while you're here. It's totally okay to laugh, because you can laugh loud if you want. It's all cool. Like, look, everybody's laughing now. Ooh, now people are even laughing more because we're talking, you know, and then you start to see the sides of the mouth go up a little bit. And then they kind of, all right, I'm being a dick. I get it. So
it's weird. It's almost like is it peer pressure? But it's like, oh yeah, everyone is noticing you and feeling your energy is so contagious.
Yeah, that's what it is. But I'm not being. And then if somebody's if somebody is really giving off negative energy, then I just ignore it, you know, because then I don't want people, again, I don't want people focused on negative energy. I want them focused obviously on me and themselves having a good time as a group, you know, because that's the other thing. It's like, you know, you have to get a room full of people who, you know, pretty much don't know each other to, you know, become your friends.
Yeah, and all like that's the beauty of it. If you can get everybody to laugh at the same thing in a particular moment, like there's kind of nothing better. And it's always good to know when to, like, okay, you want to break this person up, like the tough cookie, right? But you also need to know when to, like, cut it off, cut and run,
Yeah.
and then try to, you know, because you don't want to waste your whole set on somebody. Like, I remember, like, for me, it's usually like an older guy who just, like, hates my guts. I don't know, maybe I remind him of, like, a daughter or something that he doesn't get along with, but, like, you know, I would get the feeling like, oh, this person just really hates me, not even a smile, nothing. And like, they might be like a little bit drunk, and like there maybe something psychologically is always going on too. Maybe they like miss therapy or something. Yeah, then I will, which is always tough because it's like if the wife is cracking up at me and then like the husband is not, I'm just like, oh, that's gonna be an interesting car ride.
But you see all the things you just said, like I was laughing while you were saying them, because that's your internal monologue when you're on stage. So that's what I say. I just say all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's what the things that are going on in my mind. And then it's funny that way. You know, it's like whenever, like if someone, you know, dies and then you see like their family, it's like, I always would say over the years, like, I'm so bad at this. I never know what to say. So now I just say that.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like my mom died 2 years ago. Yeah, next month will be 2 years. And there are some days when I just like wake up and I'm like, man, I can't believe she's dead. Like she's really gone, you know? And I laugh because it's just, you know, it's just life. And it's weird that you're just like, oh wow, things are so different than they were just a couple years ago. And it's just like somebody you thought was going to be there for a while. I don't know. There's just something funny about just saying what's on your mind. And
Yeah.
it's not always a joke. It's just like,
When I'm at a loss for words, I just say whatever's going on in my head because you know what, it might not be funny on its own, but it might, then as you're doing it, it'll, you know, we've been doing this long enough. You eventually find a place to work the funny in, you know, but sometimes it's just better like, all right, I got to deal with this situation now, but I don't have a set line I'm going to use for this. So I'll just, whatever my inner monologue is, I'll just start with that and see where it goes. And then maybe the person responds back in a certain way, or somebody else in the crowd says something, or, you know, especially when in a tense situation, you just basically just want to diffuse it and move on. So
have you ever had somebody, what?
You learn over the years, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever had somebody heckle you really badly or like throw a drink at you or anything like that?
Never anything thrown, thank God. Yeah. But yeah, you know, definitely heckling.
Just like panties and regular stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I've had some bras and panties thrown up.
Ooh, where were you? From comedy?
Yeah, but you know, I go out and open for bands a lot too, you know, so that's a lot of times where that happens.
Do you keep any of them?
No.
You just sell them on the dark web? No. You know, I've thought about this. It's like comedians were annoyed, like the good ones anyway, are annoyed at the PC culture because it's like, oh, because you want more people laughing than less. But if you look deeper into it, it really signifies like the death of the individual, you know, because it's like we're not allowed to just laugh at what we find funny anymore. It's like there's somebody else who decides what's okay and what's not okay to laugh at, and the group of things that are not okay seems to be getting bigger and bigger by the week. So it's really like you're robbing somebody of joy. You know, if you're gonna get shamed for laughing at what you find funny, it's like a way of controlling. It's like mind control.
Yeah, well, I think what happens is, you know, again, like 97% of people come to a comedy show want to laugh, but then there'll be that table of people who are or you could tell are like, you know, like really, again, the pretend outrage kind of stuff. But that's then everybody's look, and then everybody else feels like, oh, I'm sitting next to them, I shouldn't laugh at outrageous stuff, and then the people next to them. So it's really contagious, and it's tough, you know, that if you have one bad table, it can fuck up the whole show.
Yeah, and it kind of breaks like the magic of being at a comedy show, which is you can forget about your life and go somewhere else mentally and kind of have a nice break. And it's almost like that person or those people kind of like, yeah, suck the fun out of it. And it's like, yeah, well, you have like the whole rest of your day and night to, I don't know, be uptight or worry about what's going on in the real world. And it's like, everyone's trying to escape that and have a good time. So it really sucks that when that happens, you know, they bring everybody down. I was going to ask you something else, but I think I forgot. Oh yeah.
You want a good heckling story?
Yes.
So I opened for Dice for like 10 years, which was the best comedy education you could ever get.
Wow.
And we were playing the, I guess it's the PlayStation Theater in Times Square. You know, big venue, like 1,800 people. You know, I go out and, you know, I go in, and literally after like the second or third joke, this guy, like 5 rows down, stands up and goes, "You fucking suck, fuck you, blah, blah, blah." And he's screaming it. And so now everyone's quiets down. I can't do my material. I do try to do a couple jokes. Boo, you fucking suck. You know, and
How many people were there?
Like 1,800.
Wow.
So it's like, all right, you know, this is a hardcore Dice crowd, you know, but plus I got to just deal with this guy. It's the only guy, you know. So I go, dude, I can't even see you because, you know, the lights, you know, people don't realize like comics are on stage, the lights are in our face. You could only see like the front row. I couldn't see him. I go, dude, stand up. I'm going to tell everybody in here what you look like. You're a big fat motherfucker who lives in his mom's basement, pedophile, cocks. You know, like I was just, now the crowd's going crazy because now they, you know, like the shark smells blood, right? So now I'm just destroying this guy. I go, put the on, and the lights come on, and he was exactly how I described him.
Wow. And his mom's behind him like, shut up. I can't believe I drove you here. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like a big pedophile, and I get done. I storm off stage, and Dice and the promoter are standing on the opposite sides of the hall. I barrel past them, but just as I pass them, Dice looks to the promoter and he goes, "I don't go on stage until he is out of the venue."
You?
No.
Oh my God. The dude. Okay. The heckler.
Because I told
wow.
I told the heckler before I left, like right as I was saying goodnight, I go, you know what? You know what? I know you think you got me tonight. I know you think you threw me off my game, but you didn't come here to see me. You came here to see Dice. You bought 4th row tickets to see your hero, Andrew Dice Clay, and you won't even see the tip of his boot tonight. I guarantee you that.
Wow. So you called it. Did you think you knew he was going to be thrown out?
Yeah, because I've worked with Dice enough times to where he won't, the one thing with Dice is like he protects his openers. So when I walked past and I heard him say that, I was like, cool.
Wow.
And then they called down and the crowd's chanting Dice. They called down the walkies and they're like, all right, we got him out of the room. And Dice goes, I want him out of the building. I don't even want him to hear me in the lobby.
Or from the bathroom or something, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
Whoa. How'd that make you feel?
It made me feel great but I knew Dice was like that because I'd worked with him for years, you know. So I mean, I would have rather, and 97% of the sets with him were always great. If you could get out and get a Dice crowd laughing right at the beginning, you were fine for the rest of the show. But once in a while, you got an old school crowd, and if you didn't get to the mic before someone yelled something out, it could be a tough ride. But that's how you get stronger. I always tell people, I don't know one comedian whoever killed and then ran back to their hotel and rewrote their whole act. But
yeah,
when you bomb,
that's when
you're
you
like,
get
hey,
better.
don't stop for drinks after the show. No, fuck that. I'm going to my room. You rewrite 5 new punchlines for every joke, So, I hate to say you need one of those every once in a while, but maybe not to that extreme. But yeah, the bad shows are the ones that you learn from and make you better.
What were like the biggest takeaways that you learned about comedy from working with Dice?
He really helped me with my pacing, like, cause he has such a deliberate pace. And, he would always say, he'd say, especially when we played bigger venues, like the PlayStation Theater, or if we played, 1,000, 1,500 plus, he'd always go, hey man, take your time. Don't rush it. Wait for the laugh. It takes time in a bigger venue. And just to, relax and have fun and not, feel the pressure of like, you got to get 20 jokes out like in the first 2 minutes. Just let it let the set build and all that stuff, and don't worry about getting a million laughs. Just pace yourself.
Because in a bigger venue, like the 1,800 seat one you did, it's like it takes like much longer for everyone to collectively hear the same thing? Or is it more like some people are not, percentage wise, is going to be some people just not paying attention, or all of it?
Yeah, I think it's with a bigger venue. Yeah, it does. It just takes time for the sound to come around the room. So even just, for that, it's a different pacing as opposed to, a smaller club where you're getting instant, you get the laugh, it dies, and you move on. Yeah, in a theater, it's definitely more in slow motion. So, and then being able to play a bigger place and learn how to do that was really helpful. Because I think most comics do prefer the more intimate atmosphere. I like to be right on top of people. I prefer that, but I can work a bigger crowd. And now with the rock tours I've done, I learned how to work the rock crowds.
What are the biggest differences with the rock crowds?
For me, I think it's just the choice of the material. I just do all material about music, bands, musicians, and stuff like that. So it doesn't seem so weird that a comedian's out opening for a rock band. And also, I have good recognition factor in the rock world. So they go, oh, that's the guy from that metal show. Okay, so it's not super weird, but yeah, I wouldn't talk about politics or social stuff or any of that when I open for a rock band. It's just like, get out, hit them hard, make them laugh as much as you can, get them in a good mood for the headliner. And I think a lot of times bands like it and the audience likes it because sometimes they're sitting through like 4 openers, and it's nice to get a change. It's like, all right, we'll have a comic up here. That's all right. Yeah, let's give that a try. Give our ears a break.
Do you feel like the rock audiences have a harder time listening? Like they're not as ready to listen because some music you can just sort of listen to absently?
No, I think it's just like I think it's like, again, I think it's like me being an opening band. It's like, if you want to hang in here and listen, you can. If not, you can go out to the bar and wait till I'm done and wait for the headliner to come on. I don't see it as that much different,
Yeah, you're low key about it. You're like, come on, guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say before. The people that are actually like the woke people not laughing. It's like, do you actually think that we're really truly racists, and we're up here on stage in front of what we know is a mixed group of people, not knowing where everybody stands on everything and like spouting this like that? I don't understand the logic of, it's like, if we were really racist, like we wouldn't be on stage. We would be, I don't know, like in a, like, I don't know, deep in a Reddit hole. I don't know. I just don't think that like,
like we're cabal that we have meetings and we talk about it.
Yeah,
we can get away with racism on stage. We're all comics. We're all different. But, good comics just get on stage and bring a different point of view to, we all basically talk about the same topics more or less, but it's just how you present it and how, you know, what your sort of, hopefully your unique take on something is. You know, comics just want to hear laughter. That's all we care about. That's our therapy. I haven't paid for a day of therapy in my life, but if we don't get back on stage soon, I'm going to have to, because that's where I let everything out. Like I get off stage after 45 minutes and I'm like, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah, you're like, I feel good. I don't feel like punching a wall anymore. Yeah, when we were at the at Kumia's 4th of July barbecue thing, there was a comic who was talking about this. I guess it's fairly popular, maybe in Long Island City. It's like one of the outdoor shows, and they're like, oh yeah, Michael Che is there, and we do it through the creek in the cave, and it's like you'd see pictures. It's like out of the back of a pickup truck, and but he was saying, maybe it was Stevie Lou, I can't remember. They was saying like comics kind of have to adjust. They basically have to like out the gate, you know, be like fuck Trump, and it's like, I don't know. It's like your set is not really your own anymore.
Right. He even said, like, he went out and said like he was biracial or something. It's like, what? Don't pander to the crowd.
That's what it was, is that people had to start their set basically saying what their ethnic breakdown was to like be accepted.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean, if you're funny, you're funny. I don't care. Like, to me, you know, obviously every time I go on stage and I do a comedy show, yes, of course I want to kill. Of course I want to get a lot of laughs. But also I like that the show is diverse in some way, whether even if it's 3 white guys, maybe one the comics is more physical, or maybe the other guy does impressions, or you know, or if there's a female on the show. Like, I think it's best for the audience. I think people will leave saying, hey, all the comics are great. They're all different, but they were all good. That's the best show. But you don't have to pander to an audience. You don't have to, oh, well, my 3rd cousin on my mom's side is Native American. Okay, so how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, especially when you don't naturally have jokes about those topics. And it's, I remember we were like looking at each other like, yeah, no, we're good. We don't ever need to do that show. Like, there's enough challenges of doing an outdoor show as it is. And we're like, yeah, we don't want to get like, I mean, you know, if you're put in that situation, you work through it, you do the best you can, but it just, I don't think anybody was like getting to do that for like, and know you're making no money is like, yeah, I'd rather not sign up for like that awful of a time.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is then you just, it's almost like you're trying to relearn your craft, you know? Yes, of course, over the years, there should be growth, because as a human, hopefully there's growth. So your act will grow anyway. You don't have to start tailoring it. Like, you know, if I started tailoring my act to play at colleges, I'd be spending so much time trying to make an act that's college friendly that what makes me money, I wouldn't be paying attention to that anymore. So it's like, I got to do what I do. Because if I start doing something differently, it's, number one, it'll come off phony, because it's not, people can tell. The one thing I'll say about comedy audiences, as dumb an audience as you can be in front of, you know, I never blame them for, you know, I never say that crowd was dumb, they didn't get me.
I never do that either. Even if I bomb, it's never their fault. It's my actual job to get them to laugh.
That's too easy. But I will say, when I've been in front of you know, not the smartest crowd, it's like, you know, again, I can't put it on them. It's like, I got to figure out a way to work this crowd. And the same when you're in front of a really smart crowd. But no matter what, crowds can always sense if you're being genuine. That's the one thing. They can always tell. They're
like bears. They can smell. No,
yeah, exactly. And most of my audience have long claws.
Yeah, and plus it's no fun to be the person delivering that set if you're just like, oh, this is what they want to hear. It doesn't feel good to deliver it. It doesn't sound genuine to them. So it's like you're better off just like really fully embracing who you are, what gives you joy, what truly makes you laugh, and then stay true to that, and that's how you really find your people. Like you have genuine like fans for life because they got to know you in an authentic way.
Yeah, because again, there's really no other way to do it without just coming off like a phony.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and that's the other kind of real great side benefit of compound media, which is, as different as we all are, we all kind of have the same sensibility in terms of like go for the throat, and
Mm-hmm.
I really, that last show we did in Philadelphia, the comedians of the compound,
It was so good. That was one of the, every time we have a Comedians of the Compound, it's like everyone is hilarious. Like there's an energy in the room at those shows that is unlike anything else I've ever felt. Like, maybe with your like rock stuff, because it's like everyone, there's like this mutual knowing of one another and appreciation of the same stuff. But that's how it feels in the room at these compound shows. And it's like, you could just like feel the love and like everyone's having a blast. And this was like March, 15th or
13.
something? 13th? It's like things were already shutting down. Philly was like, we do not give a fuck. And nobody was out with a mask. Nobody was even scared. We were all hugging and high-fiving. And it was like such cool people. Those are really, really great shows. And there's just certain things that you wouldn't be able to get away with on another network, or it's certainly not on YouTube or somewhere else. Like I remember like we'll have like on Wet Spot, we'll have porn stars in, and then like, Garrett or one of the guys in the booth, it's usually happens with like Trinity St. Clair, who actually I think is going to be on our first show back, but like they'll just start playing her porn, which like would never fly on a regular network, but we'll find a way to like make a joke out of it and be like, oh, Trinity, were you asking for directions? Oh no, what happened? Like we can just make jokes about her, like just getting like pummeled by like 5 black dudes. And it's just, you can't make jokes like that, anywhere else.
Yeah. And I just, when things open up again, I really, and I love how you push, Anthony, to like, we got to continue doing this. We got to do the Comedians of the Compound tour, one of the things I kind of see is like, like we didn't do that show at the Punchline in Philly. We didn't do it at Healing. We did it like upstairs at a cigar bar. And it's like, you want to push comedy into those places? I'm all for it, because I've been backstage at thousands of concerts, between opening for bands, between being backstage, going to see bands and all that. The one thing everybody wants is what they can't see. Everyone has to be backstage. People are, Don, you got to get me backstage.
Really?
In Motorhead, you got to get, I must be back there. I have to be back there at all costs. I must be backstage. And then they get backstage.
And they're like, oh.
Hang on.
Ha! Wow.
So you want to push edgy comics into cigar bars and downstairs in the basement of pubs? Go ahead and do it, because you know what? Everyone will go, what's going on down there? Well, the comics down there, really? Are they funny? Oh my God, they're fucking amazing. They're so funny. They're like saying like crazy shit. Really? Oh man, maybe I'll go down there. And that next thing you know, you got a line down the street of people who they want to get behind. How do I get down there? I have to be in the basement for this comedy show. And then what happens? The demand is so high. Now you're back out of the basement and back into the regular clubs.
Yeah. And they become like the new speakeasies. Like we easily could have filled out a much bigger venue. Like we were like that was a full house that night. And this is like at the beginning of the pandemic stuff. So yeah, I think we should try for a bigger room next time. But yeah, we're gonna be working on it. We're gonna keep doing shows. Yeah, I'm happy that like this group is still, we've been putting out content nonstop, no gaps since March. So that's been pretty cool. Yeah, so we'll just have to pray about it.
Yes, hopes and prayers.
Yes, thoughts and prayers. Don, where can the good people find you?
Oh, yes. All over my positive social media sites, Don Jamieson, Jamieson. And while you're at it, you pick up the new Denim and Laughter album, and or just check in, give a like on a post, say hi, whatever. I just joined Parlor.
Yes, good. I'm on that too.
So,
Yeah, Compound Media just started a Parlor account.
Okay, good. I'll follow you on there, and I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, all the usual spots. And yeah, I mean, I've been obviously in lieu of being able to go out and do shows. I'm having actually a lot more fun with my social media. And
Good.
you're a jerk off. I'm not on social media at all. You can't find me.
And watch that Jamieson show every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern on Compound Media. Don, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
You got it. Thanks so much, Chrissy. Tell Frank to email me that info for that show.
Okay.
And tell him, warn him in advance. I'll probably be horrible because I'm very rough.
No, it's going to be great.
We'll have fun.
Thanks, Don.
See you later.
Bye.